Why were we created? Why were diseases created? Why were mental illnesses created? If I were to ask you, why was this shoe made? Why was it created? Well, you would say because a human created it. Okay, so God did not create this shoe. A human did. Right? We all agree to that. So, why were mental illnesses created and why were diseases created? You're assuming that God created mental illnesses and diseases. Question: can a mental illness exist if the brain does not first exist? Can a mental illness exist apart from the brain? No. So the human brain must first exist and then the mental illness. So the question is this: when God created the human brain, was mental illness something that God created along with it? The answer is no. There's no indication that when Adam and Eve were made, that they were made with a mental illness. In fact, the Bible is clear that everything was perfect. So what is a mental illness? A mental illness is a result of man sinning, being separated from God, and thus the creation, as the Bible says, the creation is currently moaning, it's falling apart, it is waxing old as a garment, it is getting progressively worse. So mental illnesses and diseases are not creative acts of God, because God didn't make the world with those things, but once everything was out of harmony with God's original design, things began to fall apart, corrupt, and all a disease is really is a mutation of a life form that God had originally made for a function and a good function in its original context, then taken into a new context, falling apart and thus becoming dangerous. Likewise, a mental illness. Now, why did God make us at all? I've already answered that earlier in the video. So God did not create mental illnesses and diseases.